Oh, we got some music going here. Training camp is underway. We're going to talk about it on Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome, everyday. Thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting fanduel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Kyle Kjer. I'm a lifelong Anaheim Ducks fan, and I've spent multiple years covering collegiate sports, including college hockey. But today, as we always do on Locked On Ducks, we're talking about the Anaheim Ducks, and we've got some exciting stuff going on already. The practices are underway. We finally got to see some Ducks out on the ice. There was the rookie kind of camp open to the public today at 10:15, and then on the other side, on a different rink, they were having kind of some media day stuff and everything. So some of the veterans were out there. Chris Kreider was cited, Ryan Strome, we got Cutter Gauthier, bunch of guys out there doing those shots and everything. But my focus was mainly on the little rookie camp and their practice that they had, and it's exciting stuff. A lot of people out there representing the Ducks and showing up. The vibes were feeling good. Like, you could just kind of feel everyone had that like summer vibe with them still, but are just happy to be back with hockey and everything. So definitely excited for the Golden State Rookie Faceoff, as that is coming up tomorrow. And honestly, it's going to be a pretty fun weekend. Can't wait to talk about it this weekend and bring you some coverage from that. But I want to talk about who stood out most from the training camp today that I saw. But first, we'll get into how the day went and just kind of what the vibe really was and what I saw out of the players, and just kind of some standouts and what the overall theme of practice was. So today was the start, and then really it was just good to walk in, see some familiar faces, some people that I've met in the media world, some former classmates of mine from Chapman. Shout out to Dan Batson. I saw him out there doing media day today, fellow Chapman alum. And then got to see Steve Carroll out there, some of the other reporters and everything. So they're all out. And then, of course, right as I walk in, I look to my left and there's a bunch of guys hanging out. They got Ducks gear and stuff. And then I like kind of look back, pick a spot, because I don't want to really like make a ruckus or anything. And then I look to my left again, and there's just this old dude with the biggest mustache, rocking shorts and a hoodie, just like sitting, chilling, watching with all these other guys. Then I realized it's Joel Quenneville. Joel Quenneville, Jay Woodcroft, all the rest of the coaching staff, all sitting there having a chat, like they're just hanging out with the boys. It was kind of fun just to get to see him right there, just hanging out, having a conversation, watching the skill coaches do the practice and everything. And then across the way, of course, I see Mr. Pat Verbeek hanging on the phone, watching practice, hopefully working on something with Mason McTavish. And then next to him, we had Scott Niedermayer. He's hanging out around the rink still. So just a lot of familiar faces, either from the Ducks or from the staff or from the history or just from people I know. But moving into the practice, one thing that I noticed most of all for what this practice that I watched was about, it was really working on zone entries and then back checking. So they had a couple drills that they ran through where they would run through either just chipping the puck in and chasing it, or they had to do a zone entry, take a shot, and then come back as if they're back checking, trying to catch up with the other group that's going. Couple drills like that, some small area game stuff, working on that strength, 2-on-2s, 2-on-3s, 3-on-3s, just a lot of uh, strengthening and then focusing on that offense of entering into the zone and then the defensive end of breaking out the puck. And they would rotate. So it was like you had half the guys in orange, half the guys in black, and they would rotate out through either orange was offense, black was defense, or vice versa. And they do their different runs and everything. So everyone getting a run on everything. Everyone's learning defense. Everyone's learning offense. Everyone is getting involved and every step of the practice. And obviously the goalies doing their thing, swapping out there. It was high energy, high energy. Everyone was doing really well. Some guys, kind of getting used to the edges, or not really used to their edges, but just that, trying to make the impression camp. It's your first NHL camp other than the development camp, but this is legit entering into the NHL training camp. So just kind of getting those cobwebs or nerves shaken out. A lot of guys battling, a lot of guys really bringing their A game and trying to be aggressive or be skilled, trying to make some nifty little plays and everything. And of course, got to see like Beckett Seneca. He was out there. He was doing really well. I thought he had a good showing for today, at least. And then, of course, Stan Solberg, he was out there. I saw him legit pull a Gudis hip check on a guy. So the rumors are true. He's coming. He's the next Gudis Truba-Train. He was playing really fantastic. One thing I liked is after every drill, you saw him talking to the skills coach, just kind of checking in like, hey, what did I do? Or what do I need to improve? Or what's going on? Was it good, bad, whatever? But you always saw him go and engage the coach. Didn't really have to get called out or anything. It is cool though to watch these skill coaches and these guys running these practices. Like they've been doing it for so long, and you have coaches your entire career and you go through all these different things, but just to watch how they work with these NHL prospects and guys that, they know what they're doing, but they also are learning a new level of the game. And you just see them take them into the corners, talk things out. It's like watching my son's practice at 14U. These guys are all now in the NHL, and it's the same thing. You got the skill coach pulling you aside, kind of just hinting at things, telling you like, hey, work on your edge here, or I want you to go under here or hit here, or whatever it is that they're talking about. But they just pull the guys aside, give them that quick little dial up, and then go back, running drills, sitting around the chalkboard, everything like that, or chalkboard, whiteboard, whatever. I in class, I've had a lot of conversations about how there used to be chalkboards in school. So my mind has been on chalkboards with that. But looking around the whiteboard, going over the plays and everything, and then breaking down the drill, and then they go out, emphasize it. Not a lot of restarts. It seemed like they kind of got the drills quick, so that was good. I've seen a couple of times with these training camps where they go to run it and they're blowing the whistle right away and bringing guys in. So they did kind of let them run through and then make corrections as it went, which for me, I like that. I think you should keep guys flowing, pull the guy aside and give them kind of that instruction rather than stopping the whole flow of hockey and everything like that. But after being away from the game for a while, I tell you, sometimes you just completely forget how tall these guys are. Like Will Francis, an absolute beast out there, and Connor Smith. Like Connor Smith's got about an inch on Francis, but him out there compared to these other guys, they're like when he'd go into a battle against the boards with someone, or when they were doing some kind of one-on-one stuff here at the end, you just recognize how massive this guy is. And he's not even in his late 20s yet. Like he's still up and coming prospect. This guy is going to be a beast for the Ducks. Love seeing that. Just that size difference. Like it's crazy how big that dude is. Again, most of those drills were really pushing on the zone entry and working on that physical side of the game. And there were some guys playing with that feistiness. There were some guys really playing with some healthy competition all game, whether it's hitting each other in the boards, battling for the pucks. poke checking, hooking, just kind of a lot of stuff. You guys really just being competitive, and you love to see that. Uh, there was one player, though, for me that stood out. I felt like they were the most feisty. They were overall quicker, more physical, and that was Yegor Sidorov. He was bringing it. He was really one of the only guys truly finishing his hits, and he was hitting guys in the corners in every single drill. During the 2-on-2s, little battle at the end, he was playing extremely competitive, playing well, making nifty little passes and everything. So we'll get into how I feel about him and everything that's going on right after this. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. With FanDuel, it makes every sport just a little bit better, especially the ones that you're not really following. And if you want to learn the sport, go hang out on FanDuel, see what the odds are about, look it up. It just teaches you more and more, and it gets you more engaged with the game. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting fanduel.com to get started. That's fanduel.com to place your first $5 bet. So coming back now, Igor Sidorov, this is not a prospect that you want to write off. With how competitive he was today, and looking at the finishes and the playmaking ability, his vision on the ice, I feel like he's low key one of the names that kind of fell off during this offseason. Not a lot of people bringing him up, talking about him. With the whole lack of Mason McTavish getting signed, I felt like that kind of has been stealing a lot of attention. Then the hype of Roger McQueen, obviously Lukas Dostal getting extended, and you got Beckett Seneca with his play last year. What's going on with him, his performance in juniors and everything like that. But honestly, I think Igor could easily be Igor could be one of those players that breaks into the roster this season. I don't think it's going to be right off of camp, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is a guy that can really make a shot and keeping a spot on the Ducks roster this year if he continues the hungry play that he displayed today at practice. I mean, last year he played 59 games with the San Diego Gulls. He's got 17 goals that season, 17 assists for a total of 34 points in 59 games, just on a tear of a pace at the end of the season. And then remember, Sidorov was a third round pick in 2023, going 85th overall. And he was a late draft year pick as well. He could have been drafted in 2022, but he got drafted in 2023. So he's going in the third round pick, and that's not a number to be messing around with. There's some pretty big players that have come at the 85th overall mark. You've got players like Cody Eakin, Thomas Novak, Matt Grzelcyk, Josh Mahura, a former Duck, Brandon McMillan, of course, another Duck, and the Ducks' own, current Ducks' own, Lukas Dostal is another player who went 85th overall. But some top players that have been chosen in the third round, that includes players like Patrick Sharp, Chris Letang, Brad Marchand. Everyone knows about Brad Marchand after this year with Florida. You got Alex Killorn, a fellow Duck as well, Adam Henrique, a former Duck, and Adam Fox, a great defenseman. So some pretty big names come out of that third round. And the way that Igor Sidorov has come as a late bloomer, and his ability to hold up his own in the AHL, which is not an easy league to play in, he has been scoring. He's making plays. This is someone that is hungry, and he knows what it's going to take, and he showed it today. It seemed like he understood that he's got to be at a certain level to try to crack this roster, and he's going to be the guy every single drill, every single practice above his peers, really bringing the physicality, bringing that skill of his shot, of his playmaking, everything that he could today, he did. And he did it well, and he did it with its speed, and he did it with intensity. And I mean, he's sitting at 6 foot, 184 pounds. This left-handed winger honestly could find himself in some NHL action this year. He's got the hockey IQ, the physicality to add either to like a second or third line, even if he has to go to that fourth line. He's at 6 foot, so he's not small, but not one of the biggest guys, but can definitely throw the body around. So that's why I think more of that third line or second, not necessarily more of that fourth line. And his playmaking ability and keeping up with the speed of the game and his creativity out there, and really like he's just got this IQ and sense about his game that he knows when to shoot, he knows when to pass, he knows when to play physical. And that's the type of mentality that I know Verbeek would like to see out of his players. And you know that Joel Quenneville was definitely taking notes about him today. The only thing is, if he does get matched up on those lines with like McTavish or Granlund, he's going to have to bump someone out. So you're seeing players like Nikita Nesterenko or Sam Colangelo getting out just because of how many veterans on this team. Maybe Ross Johnston gets the bump out, but there is a bit of a logjam with how this roster is currently built right now. I think overall, though, his ability to play skillfully and physically is going to be a tool set that the team does not want to miss out on. They want to bring someone that's going to be hungry like that. And if he's going to have that physical mindset and not, he doesn't really have bad discipline either. He had 18 penalty minutes last year. And even today, he's a player that is on the line. Like he plays borderline. There was some of his uh defensive techniques, I will say, that were a little high for like could have been maybe a hooking depending on what kind of ref you had. Little bit of slashing, but definitely was not letting guys get away. He was always fighting for that puck back as soon as he lost it. He was coming up, grabbing him up, hitting him, working his feet down low, just playing a really strong physical game. That's really all I can emphasize on what he did today. Very competitive, very competitive. Out of all of the peers today that were there with the prospects, he definitely stood out the most to me with the way that he was playing. There were guys that were playing skilled, they were playing big. Not a lot of guys weren't hitting. Like it was a very physical practice from them, but it just seemed like he was the one drawing the oohs and the ahs from the people watching whenever he would rock somebody. And he honestly wasn't a lot of goals. The goaltenders were playing really well today, and just the quickness of the drills and how they were presenting the shot. It was more of kind of just getting in and getting that shot off. There wasn't really a lot of follow up secondary play. The other team's objective was to get it out. So honestly, the goal scoring was kind of low today. Not much out of like fancy between the legs or a Michigan or anything. There wasn't any fancy stuff while I was there, but there was a lot of good, quick, fast puck movement. I think the guys could probably use themselves a little bit more. There was that kind of unfamiliarity with each other where in the like 2-on-2s, obviously they were making passes and kind of playing the puck well when it was the 2-on-2s, 2-on-3s, stuff like that. But when it became the 5-on-5, there's a little bit more of individualistic play. And I felt like with Sidorov, he was one of the only ones that was kind of really involving his teammates as well. And he was making quick passes, making plays. Like he was taking some kind of no look shots. And there was a couple times he would just drag his forwards through the entire drill by continuing to forecheck and just ripping it around, making passes back and forth, being available for the puck to come back to him. And his line was with Beckett, Seneca, and Tim Wash. So there was some skill between those three compared to the other lines, obviously. But it just seemed like he was like just all over the place, but in the right ways. Not like a chicken with his head cut off, but always where he needed to be at the right time. And that's something that I thought really stood out. And I'm just more curious now, what does the timeline like someone like Sidorov, what type of timeline does he have when it comes to breaking into the NHL? We'll get into that right after this. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all in one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. No more Microsoft Excel for you. No more Microsoft Excel for me. I love with Monarch the visuals, the as soon as you log in, that launch pad screen, it's just all right there. The display's easy to read. Everything's so easy to follow and get through the menus. There's no difficulty whatsoever when it comes to tracking your finances. So don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. So now, realistically, I don't think Igor Sidorov is going to make the roster right out of camp. And I know I keep saying it's Sidorov. I've heard it's Sidorov. I've heard it's Sidorov. But I'm going with Sidorov for now. And if I get the proper pronunciation, I will absolutely do that. However, that was a very bad transition with a however. What I was meaning to say is that Sidorov could be someone that could make the roster out of camp, but most likely not going to happen. But if he does perform really well during this preseason and training camp time, and he starts off the pace in San Diego that he had at the end of last season, and he keeps playing well, keeps scoring, keeps doing everything that he's supposed to, and just playing the game really well, I could see him eventually coming up and getting some minutes this year. He's one of those guys that has been at the cusp, and everyone's kind of been thinking about him, but I think some names just kind of came in the way. And he's right there, ready, hungry, and could be this kind of dark knight that snoops up and ends up playing extremely well for the Ducks squad in Anaheim, not down in the Gulls squad in San Diego. And the thing with it is there isn't a lot of pressure with bringing him up because of the roster that the Ducks have. I'm looking at if everything goes in Sidorov's favor in regards to breaking into the NHL this year, I'd say a good preseason, a good pace with the Gulls down in San Diego. I'm looking at November. November, you could definitely see him cracking up and getting minutes, especially if there's someone that's just not quite playing as well or just isn't having a good year. They're having a hard time up at the NHL squad. Then he could be an easy guy to kind of come up, start getting that experience, taking in some minutes, and really performing and showing what he can do in the NHL. With the current roster, though, the Ducks, I mean, they just don't really have this pressure or rush to bring guys up right now. There's kind of a logjam with the way that they've constructed the current roster. I say the current 20. or you could say the kind of 22 that are around, with the difference with kind of Nesterenko coming in, Colangelo coming in, Johnston kind of going in and out. Guys like that, that current group that we've seen pretty much from either last year or these new pieces coming in through the trades with Chris Kreider and Michael Granlund, it's a pretty solid roster. It's a pretty big group. This is assuming that McTavish is re-signed and part of this roster. I don't really see the current prospects having the ability to break in unless something just kind of doesn't work out for a current player. Something just goes downhill for them, or God forbid an injury happens. I'm not seeing much of these new guys getting a lot of up and down, kind of like we saw with Zellweger and Minchikov when they first became part of the roster and how they worked into the roster. It's a little different now because of how kind of competitive this Ducks team is going. It's just a little bit more of a challenge to kind of break into this roster. So if everything is going well and the team's playing well and Sidorov's kind of playing not bad but not great, and he's just doing solid, he's doing what he has to, and he's keeping up at a decent pace, I could see him possibly coming up around February, around that Olympic break, either right before or maybe right after. And that could be for a couple of reasons. If they're not doing great as a team and the season's kind of going downhill, it could be a way to spark guys and just they decide, hey, we need to get these guys some reps. This is the time. We're not really battling for a position in the playoffs. If that, God forbid, that happens, that could be a reason. Or if they are doing really well and they are in that race and they're looking at kind of doing some action during the trade deadline, this could be a way to bring some guys up to kind of ice some of the guys that maybe be going out for free agency, or not free agency, but for the trade deadline. They might be getting sent out. So they kind of, sit the guy, bring up the prospect, get the minutes, whatnot like that. Or if they're doing really well and they kind of want to get these guys prepared just in case, playoffs happen or something, hey, knock on wood. Possibly there's a playoff run, there's a playoff push. So they bring these guys up to kind of get a couple reps in and get guys prepared for the playoffs in a sense. So that's kind of where I see Sidorov making an impact or eventually breaking through. If things are kind of steady for the Ducks and things are steady for him, and there isn't a real, falling out of one of the players or an injury or anything like that, I could see him just in the later year getting reps as they try to prepare him and, just give him that reward of playing well in San Diego. But if there is someone not playing well or not having a good start, and he does come off to a good hot start like he was at the end of last season with the Gulls, then he could be coming up in November, or, I don't think I'm going to see him in October, but November, December could be the earliest that we see Yegor Sidorov come in this Ducks roster, or he has a stellar camp, a stellar preseason, just completely owns it and ends up playing game one for the Ducks. Who knows? The world is ours. It's an oyster. Let's enjoy it. But I think that we're going to see Yegor Sidorov in Anaheim Orange this season. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and the consequence or circumstance of where he goes and when it brings him up. So that is what I've been thinking about all day. And after the practice, I just could not wait to come and talk about Yegor Sidorov. Just watching him out there, he was very exciting. I think you guys will be excited, especially if you're going to the Golden State Rookie Face-Off, which starts tomorrow night. I will be there. Come and say hi if you do show up. I would love to chat with you and just kind of shoot some Ducks hockey talk and get into it and enjoy some good youth prospect hockey out there. It's going to be a fun day. So enjoy, and I will see you all soon with some coverage after tomorrow. But thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast. There is no offseason, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you go like and subscribe to the Locked On Anaheim Ducks YouTube if you are listening in. And if you're watching on YouTube, go check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you all. See ya around the rink. And as always, I'm Kyle Kjer. Be good out there.